This race will be uploaded later in the week and you'll hear me later on, but we are here at Hockenheim for round 2 of the Lmp2 Championship in FluxMotorsport's Project Cars 2 series, brought to you by Fanatec, Acelef and RS Dash. So we've missed out on qualifying due to some technical difficulties, but we'll quickly go through the field as we have 30 seconds left to go. So we've got Will on pole, Spud in second, Immortalis, then Kerboff, Blankfile, HHV, Tyjo, McToasty, Richie in 9th, Supercrusher in 10th, RG in 11th, JMG in 12th, Revsmart in 13th, Davey in 14th, then Spaceman 15th, and Briori Tatu in 16th. So the drivers have 6 seconds to go. We're about to go lights off. So far red. And we're off. Drivers are off. We're going from Will, still keeping his lead. We've got someone else going wide on the side. That's going to be one of the... It's going to be one of the Oricas. That's 2 wide still. Bud's going to be trying to take that down to the inside line. He's going to have the better line. That's a car flipping in the inside. That's a car flipping. That looks like an Immortalis. It's not an Immortalis. No, that's not an Immortalis. That was a Richie. It wasn't an RG. It was a Richie. It was a blank file. That was it. Yeah, blank file's the one with no rear wing. That had to have been blank file who flipped there. But we'll have to go down to the front of the field. Yeah, it looks like we're going on for yellow flags here, just because that incident was completely blocking the track. Yellow flags for the driver at the front, that's definitely a yellow flag. So we got damage for Super in his extra Orica. Davey didn't look like he got too involved, but below Davey, drivers are involved. Because that's JMG with no rear wing. Heading to the pits. Yep, that must have been JMG flipped. As he's got Richie. No, Richie's going wide. That's... Spaceman, yeah, that's Richie. Okay, Richie's got a little control of his car. Spaceman, I don't know how much damage he's got. He must have a little bit. That definitely what must have been JMG, being the redness, and that was flying in the background many meters and feet in the air. He's got zero control of that car through the corners as well. Spinning there, that's... And then RG... with a hefty amount of front bumper damage as well. Revs, I can't see much to his car. And then Blankfile as well, who also got a lot. So I'm not sure if it's Blankfile or Richie who flipped the most. I can imagine it must have been Blank. So I didn't realise how much Super had got with his damage in that crash too. So, and that's that's HHV getting damage. So's Davey. I didn't realise how much damage Davey got either. So Richie, JMG, RG, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is that 7? Yeah, that's 7 cars involved in the first lap wreck, including Blank for 8 cars in the first wreck. Yeah, that's 8. That's... I mean, I thought the crash at, last season that wasn't broadcasted, we had a crash at Bathurst in the finale of the V8 Supercars, which had essentially half the field, but I think this is... Yeah, Revs Martin too, I think this is... Yeah, that's over half the field. I think this is possibly the worst crash in Flux Motorsport. So the stewards, the stewards are going to be having a big job tonight. A really big job tonight. It's rare you're going to have to see something like this in Flux where the drivers actually are slowing down. We don't normally do such yellow flags and red flag procedures, but... Yeah, wow, that's... And then you got the drivers who have just come out of pits heading onto the back straight, trying to make their way back to the field, where the on-track marshals will be essentially telling the drivers when we'll be going green. We're 2 laps in on the yellow flag, so we haven't had any... we've had... we haven't had a fifth... We've had a fifth of a lap on green, so... Yeah, that's a fifth of a lap on green. That's, so with 40 minutes, I was expecting 31 laps in this 45-minute race, but with the yellow flags and the crash, that's something that we really just didn't want to see. I'd say it's maybe mid-20s. That's whoa, that must have been green flag. That's green flag. Okay, yep, we're on green flag now. That's Will. Tyjo's third, curb off fourth, going around the outside of Tyjo. Immortellus right behind him, and that's Toasty in sixth, right then. That's Brewery Targu from last to seventh place. See how the guys who have gone from pits, see how if they can actually make their way through the field. Blankfile's actually made his way out of the pits. Okay, that's Blankfile in 16th, who is a lap behind. I don't know if he's... We'll have to figure out how many cars have actually gone through the pits. And Blankfile in 16th to battling with TTV Spaceman, but no, that's Blankfile taking over Brewery Targu. We'll go right back to the front of the field. Spud, Will, Tyjo's in third. Working with Kerboff right behind him in fourth place. Behind that is Immortalis. Kerboff taking down the inside into sector 3. Heading into the stadium is going to be real much of a drive. You're going to get a lot of dirty air into this section. But this right-hand is one where you don't want to stuff up. You most likely always are more likely to see cars go wide at this section. And when you do, you exactly go off that curb a little too much. There's going to be so much speed taken down in your time. With big battle here at the moment, we'll do with the cars that have gone out of the pits. So we've got Spaceman with Super going up and hunting him down with the stadium. So I imagine these guys are on lap, these guys are on lap behind the other leaders, but as that it's so hard to tell now with all these unlapped cars and cars who have gone to the pits. So Spaceman still had Super with Davey in 10th, Richie, Revs, HHV, RG, JMG and Blankfile will head back to the front. This big battle with Tyjo. Heading onto the back straight, see what can be done before Parabolica by Kerboff, and Immortalis still has a draft. He will be looking forward to doing something, but hopefully Sector 2 and Sector 3, the draft will not be enough before Kerboff, unless he can do something down the inside before the airpin, which he is actually looking at. He's leaving it. Oh, he's going down the outside. That's Kerboff down the outside into third place and leaving Tyjo into fourth. Well done there with Danny Kerboff. Brilliant racing with the guys who weren't involved in the wreck at the start. So it's Kerboff in fourth, that was in fourth and now in third, with now Tyjo in fourth, Immortalis in fifth. Where's Toasty at? Tyjo's got to have a bit to do, and is that Blankfile going off in the background? Yeah, it was. So I'm wondering how he is on those fresh tyres and colder brakes though. So he's still on the colder brakes. His car's not going to be good. That's Briotano, who's still in 7th place. Super hunting him down after overtaking Spaceman earlier. That's when he goes wide. That's the exact corner I was talking about earlier. Entering the stadium is where you're going to see drivers go wide, especially when their tyre weight goes down. As I said, we're not going to see as much laps as expected, but tyre weight can still get a little intense in this race. But we'll go back to the front battle with Kerboff leading the pack in this three-way fight for the podium. Tyjo, now Tyjo's got Immortalis hunting him down, heading back to the pack straight again. This is exactly where, and Kerboff's got a big lead. This is exactly where Kerboff made that overtake earlier down the hairpin, very late on the braking. That's Tardu's. That's Tardu's down in the pits. He must have got some sort of damage earlier, so it's not going to be an overtake from Immortalis. Now, something I've already noticed from the Mareks is they struggle a lot more in the hairpin is in the lower revs. You cannot have as much acceleration as those Ligiers. So with the Marek, you normally want to keep it above, I believe, 4.5 to 5,000 RPM. And when it's below in those numbers, it's so much slower in the acceleration compared to these Ligiers. But he must have sorted out that hairpin problem, because in the hairpin you're in the lower RPMs. He must have sorted it out, as that Marek got a very good time with pole position in qualifying. Still leading to keep it in second, but Spud's just going away from the field just like he did in Silverstone, with Will behind him, and then Kerboff entering the front straight. And how is Tyjo and Immortalis going? We'll head on to Immortalis' cockpit, seeing how he can overtake Tyjo. What does he plan to do? go down the inside. That's really close to the braking there. Is he actually going to go for the overtake? Almost going on for hit for Taijo. On for the rear. That must have been hard braking. Just brake pressure's having a little difference, but he's not going to be. That's slowing him down as well. We'll check how Immortals goes in this corner before I look at the battle with TTV Spaceman and Davy Jones, and it looks like no, Immortals goes down the inside of Taijo. Why is Taijo slowing down so much? What has affected him? He went so much quicker through the field, unless Taijo actually qualified a little earlier in the field in around the 8th or 9th, and he just doesn't have the pace that these guys do. But we'll go have a look at how, that's actually Richie's overtaken him. So now that's Davy Jones going down the inside of Spaceman into Parabolica. Spaceman keeping that inside line very defensively, but he needs the inside line into hairpin, which he doesn't have, leading Davy Jones to take that 9th place, but no, Spaceman takes it back. No, but that's Davy Spaceman. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the Marks. Spaceman had that low RPM in the hairpin, and Davy Jones was able to just fly away from Spaceman. And that's completely what we've expected. So that's Rose Martin who's overtaken HHV through Sector 2, and the guys who were most involved in the wreck really unluckily in 13th, 14th and 15th. We'll go back to the how Immortals has overtaken Taijo, which is now once again this area of the track being the back straight and Parabolica and hairpin is going to be what you're seeing most often in the race, because this is where the battles happen, the overtaking happen. So yeah, you can see already Taijo's losing a lot of pace compared to Immortals, so I can only imagine just Taijo making up some places through that yellow flag, and then off he goes back to where he was on the grid when he started, losing positions. And I believe that's Blankfire with a background in his Judd being on lap behind. Yeah, it was Blankfire in his Judd on lap behind. And how are we going in the battles? We could take a look at Rose Martin and HHV, as HHV goes right behind him into the back straight into Parabolica, where we just were, with Spaceman ahead of both of them. That's Spaceman to Parabolica in his, and that's Rose Martin taking the toe off him, and then both of the Mareks in this team figure out what they can do to keep Rose Martin behind him, as we'll see Rose Martin possibly get some acceleration compared to these guys. So I can't imagine the York is going to be as bad as the Mareks in this situation in the low RPM off the hairpin. But there we go, we got Rose Martin trying to take an attempt on the outside, but no, he's not going to have a quick hit. That's, oh, HHV almost taking a move down there, which I didn't think that was going to be plausible. As actually no, that's HHV once again looking for a move. 32 minutes left to go, and that's Will catching up to Spud, so only 1 second behind. So I really want to know unless Spud got some sort of yeah, Spud might have had a pit stop or spin that I wasn't looking at, but that's TTV Spaceman making some time as HHV continues trying to make the overtake. So there's going to be some time lost between these three in their battle. So Revstart still sandwiched between the two Mareks, and that's really wide from HHV. And Revs Martin taking down the overtake into Spaceman down the inside of Parabolica. Will Spaceman have the pace to take him into the hairpin? No, is that going to be HHV going down? Spaceman. So HHV takes his teammate and Revs Martin, a big dive, 2 cars in 1 overtake, hits Revs Martin loses some time, mega time lost, and is that's HHV in the lead, Revs Martin and Spaceman. So yeah, we'll have to be stewards. That's going to be another incident for the stewards to look at, if HHV should have returned the position or not, unless he was okay to keep on going. And that's Spaceman going really wide there. Oh, that's really unlucky for him. He was leading this pack earlier. And that's Davy Jones in 15th. We have our first retirement of the race. I believe that's going to be, it's not Blank, it's not Davy Jones, it's Priori. Yeah, it is. So we had him in the pits earlier. Can't confirm if he came out of the pits or not. So something's must have happened, but yes, Spud slowed down earlier where he lost a second as it was like much can't go past this. It's not live, we can't have comment sections at the moment, but Spud was once a lot quicker than Will earlier and a lot further away, and I can only imagine he's spun, he hasn't changed his tyres yet. It's going to be much more of a quicker race than earlier, but he's still leading in his Oregon Nissan, powered by Fanatec and sponsored by Fanatec, just like Flux is. And if you are interested by what I'm talking about, you can get discounts on Fanatec products by using the discount code in Flux Motorsport's Discord. Not only does it help you, but it helps Flux Motorsports giving back to its community that it's always loving and trying to serve. Not only are we sponsored by Fanatec, but also Acelith products as well, such as their steering wheel rims and brackets, frames to go around your wheel and modifications. You can get discounts on your Acelith products that'll help Flux Motorsport as well, so we can give back to our community. And who is that going around the back marker of JMG all blank? That's JMG with a lap down. It's a blue flag. Who's he running by? That's Richie, his teammate. No, that's Kerboff. Yeah, he's like through Kerboff. Yep. Now we'll check out. We'll check out the battle. That HHV's actually got a lot further away from Revs. I can't imagine how much damage that Revs would actually have. I don't think it's going to be very much damage. So look at how Revs is with Spaceman. He's got Spaceman behind him. Spaceman's now second behind. He goes on. He goes quite wide and that's straight. I'm not expecting. Yeah, I'm really unsure of why. But HHV going through the parabolic car. Now they're happy. These guys have bought us an amazing battle so far. Really liking how that's going. But we'll check on Spud and Will. This is what's going on because these guys have brought some great racing at Silverstone. When you guys popped into that, we saw Silverstone. We had a great viewing from everyone who watched the Silverstone race. A lovely attendance. So we saw all the comments popping off. Really love to see that at Flux Motorsport. So if you want to join us in the comment section, see the streams on time, you got to click that notification bell, subscribe and like the video so we know what you guys like as well as viewers. Oh, that's Will getting a bit of a spin at the hairpin. He's going to lose a lot of time. Watch that timing board. He's here at 9.98. Not a second. He's not losing too much time than Orica. Heading through sector 2 and turn 8 of a Mercedes. And Spud says this section's not always flat for him. I want to see how Will is. So in the practice sessions earlier, I can't actually say what the timings were for quali as I didn't get to see due to the technical difficulty trying to get the broadcast ready that we had. But in practice that I was seeing is Will was in the 26.5s and Spud was in the 27s. So on paper actually that Will was quicker. So, and Will did get pole. And we're seeing Will catch up at the moment. So can he actually get a little closer from his Marek and Spud's open cockpit Orica? That's Kerboff in the background with Nissan. Oh no, Will going really wide just as he was catching up to Spud. Also Kerboff going wide in that section. It's really unlucky as he's spinning again. His tyres are not going to be treating him well after this. Spud can only take advantage of that, heading off to make his lead by 3 seconds. Really unlucky there by Will. Really would love to know what happened there if he lifted off and just lost some gearing, or really unsure why exactly, but yeah, that's really unlucky by Will. Nothing I really wanted to see for him is just he was catching up to Spud Mad. It's now a 3 second gap, almost ready to go 4. Spud Mad, our race leader and championship leader. This is the man you want to be ahead of. You want to stop him from getting his lead further up. I mean, where Will is in the standings right now, he's 9th. So he's happy where he's in 2nd. He wants to make as much places as possible. But Spuddy's loving this. I mean, he's got Kerboff in 3rd. But Kerboff finished 3rd last race. Toasty's in 6th. Now, why these guys are 2nd and 3rd in the championship is really, really interesting, because these guys were one of, I think, 4 drivers who did not pit at all at Silverstone. As we see, I believe, Spud overtaking a back marker of RG, as RG takes the inside of Parabolka to let Spud go. But yeah, so McToasty and Kerbov actually didn't pit in Silverstone. So I want to keep an eye on these guys, because they must be the tyre wear management professionals and guys you want to look at if they can continue that again this race. Because last time Toasty came out of nowhere. He was in the middle of the pack most of the race. You wouldn't see him. Oh, yeah, that's a Marek being acquired in the middle of the track with that turn, and Spud having a bit of a hard time, making it through there and losing time. Well, Will's got to get through the rest of them. I believe that, I'm going to guess that's Spaceman who Spud was overtaking. So we've got Will in 2nd by 4. Yeah, that's going to be a 4-second gap now. And that's Spaceman in 12th. So why is he pitted? He can't have been pitted for tyres already. I can't imagine he'd need to. I can't imagine he'd be losing pace. But Tyjo's also taken Immortalis back, so if we can find out what happened to Immortalis later on, because Immortalis has a lot more pace than Tyjo, so maybe we can see him trying to get Tyjo back, but we've got a back marker in between them both, which can only be the Judd of blank file. Yeah, and indeed it is the Judd of blank file. So Immortalis has got to make that time back up. He did have more pace than Tyjo. Tyjo qualified a lot later than him. And fun fact about Tyjo's got really unlucky, and he's got an eye infection, I believe, from what I was told last night. So we're really praying in that hope Tyjo feels better and is racing okay with his eye and has enough visibility to see, what's going on track. So I hope Tyjo's feeling alright. But from what he's going now, it must be okay for him to continue racing. As quick as he is, with 22 minutes left to go, he's in 4th and he's going okay. Is that Blankfile going to the pits? And struggling. That's Blankfile's 2nd pit stop in 22 minutes to go. That's going to be fuel and tyres, because his pit stop was straight away for damage. That's really unlucky for Blankfile, so we're going to have to go to the bottom of finding out what caused that accident earlier. That caused the yellow flag and half the field to pit. And Will's gap to Spud is only going to be getting larger and larger. That's going to be, it's still 4 seconds, but it's only going to get bigger from here. As we've got Kerbov heading through 2nd sector, down into turn 8 of Mercedes. And that battle between Tyjo and Immortalis can only get closer now, as the black marker who was in between of Blankfile has gone to the pits. So no more slowing down for Immortalis and no dirty air of trying to get to the back marker. It's the 2-second gap between the two. I just want to have a look at the time. So we got a 20-second penalty for Super Crusher, so I can only imagine he would have jumped the start, and HHV with a 2-second that would have been due to track limits. But HHV currently, that penalty is not going to really affect him right now, because Revs Martin's, Revs Martin's a lot further away, as you see HHV about to overtake his teammate. That's Will in the pits. So Will is the first of the leaders to take his pit stop for, the Marek's is for fuel and tyres. I know those Marek's will be taken for fuel. He'll be placing the tyres too. And how the tyres are in this track are really, really different to what you'll see, as the right tyres they get colder here, and the front right will be the coldest, and the front left will be degraded the most, and then the rear left will be degraded second most, but they won't be cooling down anywhere near as the right tyres will be. But well done to Richie, he's gotten to 8th place after the wreck that he was involved in with the first lap. So he would be the car of those first lap drivers to make it to the top. And then the drivers who, I believe No Super was actually involved in that too, but he can't imagine that he would have had anywhere near as much damage as Richie is. He's so much higher up going through Parabolica. And that's Immortalis getting closer to Taijo. So when are we going to see an overtaking here? I'm going to say around 18 minutes left to go. You see that top right, top in center of the screen. 20 minutes left to go. I'm going to say around 18 minutes left to go to 19 minutes left to go. Now I'm going to say 18 minutes left to go. We're going to see an overtake by Immortalis on Taijo, but Taijo goes wide. It's going to be a lot sooner than that, as Immortalis goes around the outside of Taijo, and Taijo takes a spin into Immortalis. Immortalis goes wide into stadium, heading into the sand, tacked by Taijo on his rear left. That's another instance for the stewards to look at. Immortalis is not going to be happy with that one. Taijo keeps that 3rd place, flashing his lights. So he's saying something, but whose fault was that exactly? It's hard to tell. I mean, if how much space they were giving each other, and Immortalis being on the right side, and I reckon from what I saw, Taijo was fairly on the inside enough. I reckon there was enough space, but we got RG and JMG in the next battle of the track. As you see, JMG making out of the hairpin with Taijo off the back marker, looking to make it past him, and Immortalis in the background. Immortalis will have some body damage from that, I believe. I reckon there's going to be some rear aero damage. Can't imagine any suspension, but he would have got tyres worn up too after sliding and heading into the sand as well. We are in this autumn of Germany. It's going to be a colder track, but we all got the perfect clear weather, so it's the best weather we could possibly get off the time. And that's Kurboff in his pit for second. So Kurboff was one of the drivers who did not pit in Silverstone, and he's definitely going to be one of the drivers to pit during Germany at Hockenheim. So how can Taijo take advantage of this, making the overtake on him now, flashing his lights at the black marker of JMG, expecting JMG to give him that free space and to let him go by. But when is JMG actually going to be letting Taijo? Yeah, okay, that's a, I mean, you don't normally, yeah, okay, that's JMG letting him go by, but you don't normally have to go off the track to let the drivers by. You can still find a spot that's safe on the road to let him go by, but no worries by JMG being the good spot of letting Taijo go by. And now there's going to be Immortalis being slowed down by the back marker, or sped up by now in the straight, until we get into sector 2 and 3 where we get the sweeping corners, and then the sharp lefts and rights of the stadium, and the turn 8 of Mercedes. Takes an alright line of the hairpin. JMG going on a wide, so he's only going to get closer to that back marker from here. And we'll go right back to Spud. He is as dominant as you can get. You saw him at Silverstone and you saw him at Germany. He didn't start first. No, if he didn't start, he wasn't in first for the whole race. But he'd make his way to first. And he'd lead there. He knows how to race. You can't beat the man. He is, his racecraft is exceptional, and he dominates more than any other driver you'd expect to see. His second race this season, and he's going to get his second win so far based on what we're looking like with 16 minutes left to go. 1/3 of the race left. We'll have to look at who's got fastest lap. So, yeah, Spud with fastest laps so far. No, that's Will. Yeah, Will's definitely the fastest car still, but he was slowing down by Spud. He's got see if he's got the pit stop right. It was none of the drivers ahead of him as actually pitted. So what we're looking at right now is how good Spud's going, and then Will in 6th place how he's going. Super would have pitted earlier on, but the tyres and doubt fuel, no, for the damage, but I doubt for tyres and fuel. He would have had no need, it would have slowed me down. But I reckon Super's going to be trying to save the fuel and his tyres, because with 15 minutes left to go, I don't reckon he's going to be trying to pit. Same with a lot of ultra. We've seen a lot less pit stops than I would have seen by now. I would have expected a lot more pits, but maybe due to the incident, it's slowing them down. We're doing a lot more laps than everyone would have thought, and maybe we just didn't need the pits or not at the moment. Because of that slowing down, and because we're not racing as much, so maybe their tyres are okay. But this man, Spud, is... I want to see when he pits. He's going to have to pit eventually, and we'll see Tyjo going first unless Tyjo goes for the undercut. We won't be undercutting Spud, but unless Tyjo figures something else out for what he can possibly do to keep as high as he can, because Tyjo, yeah, if you saw Tyjo, we qualified a lot lower than what he is at the moment, but he's kept himself up to 2nd place. This is really good racing by Tyjo, exceptional. This man, he's driven in the first ever Lmp2 championship at Fox, and then only the rest from there. So Tyjo, I'd say he's got the most Lmp2 experience out of all the drivers. So that's Davy Jones going wide. He's going to stay on the inside so Spud Man can continue going. And that's JMG in the pits. So they're now made their pit stop. That's Will with a caution sign. We'll have to see if that means anything. No. I'd say just a warning at the moment, where Will in the 6th place. He's still going okay with the fastest lap, and you see at the moment it's himself and Kerboff who've got the fresh tyres. You can see him going, he's 6th place, 7th. So Will and Kerboff were still the fastest drivers on the track at the moment. Spud with his 30 seconds. You can't, yeah. Okay, Spud's in first. He's going to dominate at the moment, but I'm still waiting to see where Kerboff and Will actually end up, as they are much quicker than how Spud is at the moment with their fresh tyres. They're going to continue. Spud with 13 minutes left. I don't think he pitted unless he did earlier in the race when he lost a lot of time compared to Will. But I can only guess we'd have to wait and see, because we have at least four drivers I'm waiting to see when they're going to pit with 12 minutes left. You see, oh, that's Davy Jones going wide again, heading into stadium. Tyjo's up, yeah, so we got Tyjo on half a minute behind, and that's Immortal's actually getting closer. So once, like earlier, we had the two going through the stadium, getting into contact, and Immortal's going wide. But now Immortal is actually only 2 seconds behind again, and he is hunting Tyjo down. Depending on how their tyre wear's looking, I reckon from the data I've seen from Tyjo earlier, his tyres did really degrade a lot for them 45 minutes left. But we still got another 10. His tyres not going to be anywhere worse than his predicted data because of the yellow flag we saw earlier, where the cars would be below the positive pace for about, we had about 3 laps of yellow flag. So his tyres aren't going to be worse than he's expecting, but I'd say these drivers do have to really take care of their tyres. Heading with that back straight and parabolic, so he has the least amount of downforce in this setup, and I know Tyjo's going to, I reckon he'd be going for a bit of high downforce. Toast is in 4th. I'm waiting for his pit stop. He was one of the drivers who didn't pit last race, so if he tries that no pit strategy again, saves his tyres, I reckon he can still go. That's an overtake on Will and Kerboss. I reckon Kerboss gone a bit wide there and he's lost some time, as we've seen the extra car of Super even catching up to him down through Parabolica. We'll see how he goes into the hairpin, but Will is on the hunt and Kerboss has lost some time, and Super is actually catching up to him. So if Super doesn't need to pit, Super could actually be okay as well, depending on when these guys make their move. Spud is almost 30 seconds ahead of everyone else. 10 minutes left. Spud can pit. Spud's got a free pit stop. But these guys are not very far off Will, who's leading the guys who have pitted. So these guys need to make their pit soon. I mean, Tyjo can, Immortalis maybe, but Toasty only being 2 seconds behind the guys who have pitted. He's losing a lot of time with his degraded tyres. Well, in the fresh tyres, coming onto the final straight, but losing a lot of time back marker on RG. If that could have been an unsafe rejoin, you can see that damage may not be actually there due to some graphical issues, but if RG actually went off track earlier and slowed down slowing down Will, that's going to be up to something if Will shows that to the stewards or not. With Kerboff overtaking him as well, and the Super in the background's lost a lot of time. So really want to know what's happened between RG and Will, as why is Will lost a lot of time there, and RG's possibly just jumped back onto the track and not expected Will to be coming so close near him. So 9 minutes left, we'll have a double check on what that fastest lap's going to be, as Kerboff is hunting down Will for the possibility of second and third, depending on when they pit and even if they pit. So we still have Will with the fastest lap, but Kerboff's got another 27 with his new tyres. So Kerboff is now just as quick as Will with his new tyres, and if you compare these guys to the last time Fox were here, they were getting 29s, we are in the 27s. It can be related to how we were in winter last time Fox were, now we're in spring, now we're in autumn, but still it's only a little bit warmer, and these guys are going mega quick. Kerboff and Will 2 seconds quicker than the last pole here of Bruce Law. I don't know how much the weather plays in that situation of speed, but wow, these guys are going quick. But that battle between Tyjo and Immortalis, these guys are going to set up a rivalry for the rest of the season, I reckon, because these guys have had some great battles in Silverstone, and they're having battles in Hockenheim. Down the back straight into Parabolica, and then into hairpin. So still not a 2 second gap in him anymore, still 1 second. Now much can Immortalis actually make? If he's breaking lane to race into more aggressively, trying to make that time up. Who's got the worst of tyre wear? Who's going to be actually having a car that's going to be a little more stable by the end of the race? But especially for Super, Richie and HHV, who were involved in the mega wreck at the start of the race, who took out half the field. 8 cars, no, I believe 9 cars of 16. So good job to those guys, still making that time up. And that's Kerboff hunting down Will. How close is he going to get? We'll go to the other battle. We've got 2 big battles in this track. Immortalis getting closer into the stadium where they got into the incident earlier on, about 5 or 6 laps ago, in the 16th to 15th minute mark. These guys get into the battle of the stadium, and can something happen again? Immortalis gets so much closer, heading into the front straight. He gets his speed. Is he going to make the inside? He looks down the outside. He looks down the inside. He's got his lights on. Tyjo, no, he's there. Tyjo will see him down these mirrors, and we're going to have to wait to see what happens down that back straight through Parabolica and into the hairpin. That same section we've seen so many overtakes in this race, so many battles take place in this race. So Tyjo takes a much different line there, but he goes down the inside of Parabolica. So we need to make sure he stays down the inside of Parabolica and then converts the inside of hairpin, because if he leaves that hairpin open, Immortalis is going to go right down, and exactly, Immortalis tries to think about the outside. None of them will be taking the overtake unless Immortalis dives to the outside. So close, you can see the bumpers, but Immortalis takes the inside of the exit. Who's going to take the better exit? Tyjo's still going to remain behind him, and Immortalis knows he needs to take that line, but just stay behind him for now. And this is where the dirty air comes into play. With Sector 2, you get the sweeping corners off the right hand before the stadium. Immortalis walks down the other side of him. Then we'll have a look at Kerboff and Will. Kerboff in entering the Mercedes corner of turn 8, where those two were just with each other before. Kerboff is losing a lot of time. Immortalis has Tyjo. Immortalis goes down the outside, just like how they went earlier with Immortalis getting knocked off by Tyjo. Getting so much closer. See how they go before the last 2 corners. Almost a bit of a tap, so Immortalis would have slowed down there. He's still walking down the outside. Tyjo keeping it defensive. He knows where Immortalis is. He knows how much pace Immortalis has. He knows the history Immortalis. Oh no, he goes wide into the grass, so Taiju can relax for a bit. Cones go flying. So we'll just give us an opportunity to look at the Will and Toasty, Will and Curve-Off battle, as they're actually making length into Toasty. I can't confirm if Toasty's actually made a pit stop or not. We can't get the data for that yet. Super's going to be losing water time. Super's at the moment with Revs No, Super. Yeah, he's with HHV at the moment. If you take that 20 seconds to his time, catching up to a Toasty with possibly more tyres. Can't confirm if he's pit or not. I don't believe he has. Heading through the hairpin. So that Merrick has a lot less time out of the hairpin compared to the Ligier, so Curve-Off's only going to get close to him from here. Taking through the sweeper, not going to get much dirtier when you're that much closer. And Curve-Off thinks about going down the inside of Mercedes. Turn right, Will looks up, brakes, keeping the inside. That's going to be Curve-Off taking his move. Curve-Off in 5th place and Will in 6th. Curve-Off makes his move and takes it into the top 5, where he wants to be, where he needs to be, based on his 2nd place at Silverstone. Keeping those championship points he needs to stay anywhere close to Spud to stop his possible dominance for the rest of the season. He's only staying first for as long as it gets. But that's Tiger and Immortalis getting closer and closer as Immortalis is taken back up to Toasty, heading up to the back mark with the Davy Jones as Immortalis has gone wide at this corner last lap. Can Immortalis take a good enough line? He does, and Davy Jones takes the inside to let them go by. Heading on to turn 2, see how they can go. Immortalis getting a lot of close. Tiger's got his lights in the back rear of his mirror. Immortalis going down the inside. Keeping that move, he's still just as close off his mirror. Immortalis has to do something now. Down the inside of Parabolica, Taijo goes. It's going to be the hairpin. Immortalis is going to take his move at the hairpin, whether he goes outside or inside, or waits for Taijo to slow it down to see who gets a better line. It sweeps down the inside and Taijo gets it flying into the wall into the hairpin. Oh no, there's going to be a lot of damage from Taijo spinning. And that's why it's flashing. Davy Jones, Taijo is going to be a good place. Davy Jones is obviously going to give the position back. Taijo wants to go hunting right back down to Immortalis. But how much is Immortalis only going to continue to go away? So if the stewards deem they're going to... Oh, what's happened to Davy Jones there? Wow, he's actually... Yeah, he spun. But that's Curve-Off and Toast. That's Curve-Off and Toasty. So Curve-Off must have taken Will. Actually, no, yeah. So Curve-Off's Curve-Off took Will, takes that 1st place. Now he hunts down for 4th, heading onto the outside of the stadium. Immortalis has tried this earlier and it's not worked for him, so he keeps that. Both cars take the outside line, heading down the inside. So now I can't imagine. I mean, I'm surprised how quick Taijo's still remaining behind Immortalis. That's 2-second gap. I thought Taijo would have slowed down a lot more by now based on the damage he would have seen. I mean, you guys seen how quick he went into that wall and how much he was flying down. As we see, Curve-Off takes such a close distance to Toasty, and that's well down the background, spinning off turn 1 where so many drivers have gone wide. Down the inside of turn 2 and then turn 3 to turn 4 to Parabolica of the back straight. And this is where so many racing lines have to be so precise and so perfect to make sure it all leads into the hairpin. But you see how much Toasty have gotten away from him there. So now we wait. So down the inside Curve-Off goes. I think Toasty knows how much pace Curve-Off has compared to him and just lets him go by it as it's just going to make it worse for the car. 2 minutes left to go. Spud's still got... So that's Immortalis still 2 seconds ahead of Taijo. Spud 31 seconds on the rest of the field. I can only imagine actual Toasty... If Spud's taking his pit stop and he's okay, so look at Spud's dominance. 1st place is brilliant from Spud. I can only imagine it's going to continue to happen for the rest of the season. Yeah, Spud's going so quick. So now we have to wait and see at Monza when Spud wipes off downforce to see how he goes in pace compared to the rest of the drivers. But RJ has actually gone pretty quick in Monza from one of the practice sessions before the season began with the pre-season testing. As Curve-Off is actually going to make his speed into Taijo to take that podium. So Curve-Off has gone from 6th to 3rd with the drivers ahead getting all that battle. So Wood is really slowing the drivers ahead down. It's Immortalis taking 2nd and Taijo with 3rd after what happened earlier. So we've had Taijo hit Immortalis in the stadium and Immortalis hit Taijo in the hairpins. There's going to be 2 possible instances between the 2 as Curve-Off takes the draft of Taijo down into Parabolica. I can quickly try and find Tyger's point of view to see how much damage Tiger actually has at the moment and how bad it could possibly be for him. As we see Kerboff gets so close, touching bumper to bumper, takes the inside. Yeah, Tiger's got way too much damage to even bother. As Tiger's given the flashing light, so he's not happy with Kerboff. As whatever happened there back there, but unless Tiger's, yes, Tiger's giving a mega flashing light here, Tiger's not happy. So unless Kerboff's done a dirty move at the moment, but I'll click into Tiger's point of view to see how much damage he's got. So Tiger's actually only got one rear on the suspension and a little bit on the rear right suspension. And that's Davy Jones going off the... No, that's one of the extra cars letting the drivers go by. I believe that must have been Revs as Tiger's going fourth, Toasty behind him. And that's Will in sixth after going wide a few corners later. Is that Spud coming out of the pits? Did Spud just have a pit stop? Spud just had his pits. Spud just had his pit. No, yes, Spud's just had his pit. Spud had, yes, well, Spud's got his opportunity to take that fastest lap now. So we'll see how Spud goes in that fastest lap with his new tyres. With Will still got the fastest lap point and the pole point. So while he's in fifth place, taken back from Toasty. As well, you can see Tiger and Kerboff were battling in the background. Tiger's taking him back, so he was not happy with the lights. That damage is not slowing him down with the suspension and rear aero damage from the spin he had from Immortalis. Here's the Tornado Mercedes. Kerboff can still want to hunt that third place down. No time remaining. We're about to see Spud Mad going to stadium with Immortalis behind him after his pit stop. Can he actually make that fastest lap attempt that he's hoping to get to take that point away from Will that he really needs? So we'll have to wait and see as he goes through the final corner. Spud Mad takes the second win of the season in the second race of the season. Spud Mad taking second, Immortalis taking second, Spud taking first. Kerboff took third. So Tiger's how something's happened to Tiger getting his horse to rear wing. That's another incident for the two. That's really bad on my director's fault. He should have seen what's happened for those guys. So Tiger's got another incident. He's got nothing on the rear. He's got no front left. He didn't pit in that race. 2.7 litres left in Tiger's tank. As we see Super go across the line for 7th. Wow, so Tiger's got really unlucky this race. He's got innocent with Immortalis twice, and then another one with Kerboff with his wing just taken off completely. No rear downforce in the last part of that lap as we see Richie go for 8th place. Good job for Richie, especially with the involvement in the first lap incident that took out 9 out of 16 cars. With Supercar Shot, then HHV, Revs Martin in 10th, Blake File in 11th, RG in 12th, Spaceman in 13th. Possibly giving a good old battle with JMG. Yeah, that's JMG and Spaceman in the battle for 13th. See where they go. Didn't see much damage between the two cars, so can Spaceman actually hold that place he has? And so far he will be taking 13th place with the complete race as he goes wide. JMG takes that inside. It won't be enough, so he still goes wide. He'll be okay to keep that finish of the race, as that's the end of the race for the drivers. So well done to everyone, especially after the first lap incident, still making get through the rest of it. So Spud Mad takes first, Immortalis second, Kerboff third, fourth is Willstar, fifth is McToasty after doing another no-stop. Same with Immortalis doing a no-stop. Well done to you guys. That no-stop didn't slow you down too much as Immortalis was able to keep his way with his burnt down tyres, especially on the front left. Richie in 7th, 8th is Supercrusher, 9th is HHV with the one-stop, Rev taking a one-stop. Blankfall unfortunately having to take a two-stop after being in the first lap incident and getting so much damage. RG doing, wow, he only did one stop as well, and he would have pitted only in that first lap incident. JMG taking a two-stop after unfortunately being spun and flipped around in the first incident. Then in 14th place is Spaceman. being involved in the first lap incident. So good job for Spaceman being in the race, and Davy Jones in 15th. So well done to the drivers. This will change the standings a lot except for Spaceman. I mean, Spudmad dominating the race, taking first place. So this has been Flux Motorsport's Lmp2 race for the round 2 of the Project Cars 2 series, brought to you by Fanatec, Acelith and Iris Dash. I'll see you next week at Monza, Temple of Speed, for round 3.